My name is Matthew Sternanili, and I am presenting my qualitative study titled Developing a Grounded Theory for LEGO Kinesthetic Modeling, a Research Design Portfolio. And I've chosen to do the qualitative study. I'll be covering the introduction and the methods, and in the introduction, that's inclusive of the problem, the literature, relevant literature, the purpose and the questions, the research questions, the key phenomena, the terms, and the expectations. First of all, the problem. The problem is situated in high student attrition. And from a social constructivist point of view, it seems that the problem is more about a lack of student engagement than about student competency itself. So what are we searching for here? I'm searching for a way to increase student engagement across the semester. One way to increase student engagement is through the use of popular culture. Popular culture is not explained specifically in the literature, although the efficacy of the use of popular culture in the classroom is affirmed generally and overarchingly. I have used LEGO for source integration, LEGO Kinesthetic modeling for source integration, and it has been a very positive experience for me. Using LEGO for reflection is discussed in the literature, yet using LEGO as reflection across a semester from beginning to end has not been discussed. Therefore, the gap in the literature is where that LEGO kinesthetic modeling can be used for reflection across the literature. Across the semester. The significance of the study is that it bridges that gap by examining the reflective practices of students as they are anchored to LEGO kinesthetic modeling throughout a freshman composition course. The purpose of this study is to examine the transformational experiences of students across the semester. At this stage in the research, the transformative experiences of participants is generally defined as the common themes or motifs that exist in the qualitative data during the first set of student reflections and during the last set of student reflections. These themes and motifs will be examined in light of one another to develop a theory of the transformative experiences of participants as they use LEGO-based kinesthetic modeling for reflective practices. The research question then is, what is the theory underlying the transformative experiences of participants as they use LEGO-based kinesthetic modeling for reflective practices? The first sub-question is, what are the experiences of participants in the first set of reflections? Second one is, what are the experiences of participants in the last set of reflections? And finally, how do the experiences in the first set of reflections compare or contrast with the experiences of participants in the last set of reflections after students have had the opportunity to practice that reflection during the course of the term? The key phenomena in this study is the transformational experiences of students. It's defined as the action of students that results in a transformation. And this study seeks to understand that transformation through the development of a specific theory that connects to reflective practices as the act. Key terms in this study include student engagement, which is defined as student involvement in a learning process, student involvement, which is the amount of physical and psychological energy that the student devotes to the academic experience, reflection, which is a set of practices that allow students to examine their experiences through narrative, critique, and metacognition, Lego, which are building blocks designed and made by the Lego group, and Lego kinesthetic modeling, which is the use of Lego as a model or process or experience to model the use of Lego to model a process or experience and to critique that process or experience. I expect that a theory of the transformational experiences of students using Lego-based kinesthetic modeling will be developed inclusive of the typologies embedded in that theory and the pedagogical implications derived from that theory. Next, the methodology, including the context and setting, research design, data sources, procedures, data analysis, ethical concerns, and the role of the researcher. The context and setting is at a small community college, which you see in the pictures here, with roughly 3,500 students for full-time equivalent and about 7,500 individual students. The target population is all students in a second semester freshman composition class across the Colorado Community College system. And I will conduct a purposive sampling of one class taken from all sections of the second semester freshman composition classes at PCC to accommodate the recommended sample size of 20 to 30 participants for grounded theoretical studies. This study will use grounded theory as the primary methodology, which is highly exploratory in approach, and it can draw on, it's important to consider, or rather than a specific theoretical framework, it's important to consider when providing rationale for grounded theory, the work of Green, who states that some research methods do not use a theoretical framework, not overtly use a theoretical framework, including grounded theory, but it's possible to theorize from qualitative data in the lived experiences of individuals. This is expressed in Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and it Freire refers to a process of becoming conscientious. He calls it conscientização. It's a process, not a product, that is key here, an act that leads to the transformation. This design as a whole attempts to address the lingering gaps in the research that do not derive a general abstract theory regarding the transformational experiences of participants in Lego-based reflection. The data sources include the written reflections themselves, the semi-structured interviews to expand on those reflections, and the images of the Lego models, which you can see examples of here. The procedures are that students will be taught how to, after getting approval from the IRB, students will be taught how to use Lego for kinesthetic source or kinesthetic modeling. And as in the picture, this picture could be, for example, an explanation of leadership. The data will be analyzed using the constant comparative method, the classical comparative method, and a simple word count. It should be noted that in most qualitative studies, data is collected until saturation, but in this particular study, data is collected at the first part of the semester and at the last part of the semester, so data will be collected at those particular times. There are three ethical considerations that I am discussing here. Institutional vulnerability, that is the power that that the institution has over the conduct of a student, and that can be mitigated through the consent forms that I have included in the study. In addition, data security. I'm especially concerned about electronic data security. An option is to store recording and transcripts in a locked cabinet and to place the digital files associated with that data on thumb drives and to store that data in a locked cabinet as well. Additionally, of course, I won't have any personally identifiable information in the data. Finally, there's deferential vulnerability, which I want to seek to begin to dismantle in my role, actually, as the researcher. And what is my role as the researcher? My role as the researcher within that power dynamic of professor and student, my role is I can immediately be cast into an outsider-insider relationship with the student. So dismantling that is important to me. I have many different identities, but my main purpose is to bring students to a place of conscientizzação, Paulo Freire's awakening of the problems of poverty and of oligarchical hegemony. And within the study, it's important it will be important that students have voices in the classroom through active problem solving. A natural byproduct of this is that oppressed and oppressors work together, and that Freire's banking concept is replaced by a process that uses democracy as the driving force for social change. Thank you so much for listening and watching the video. This was a discussion of developing a grounded theory for Lego kinesthetic modeling, a research design portfolio. And you can find me at the places listed below on the screen. Thank you.